Okay, good morning, hello, good morning, good afternoon to everyone watching, wherever you're watching from. Good morning, good afternoon. My name is Precious Itigwam, and I'll be your host for today's live. I'm a visa officer here at Nexi, and I'll be taking you on a very vital topic with lots of informative information. And the topic for today is analyzing your bank statement for your visa applications, as well as things to note while analyzing your bank statement to avoid the visa refusal and rejection. So thank you everybody for tuning in, and once again my name is Precious. I'm a visa officer here at Nexi, and I will be taking you today on today's live. So thank you very much for joining in. So before I go on, just want to wait for a couple more people to join in so that they don't miss out anything. So thank you very much. So I can see a lot of people joining in already. So thank you for honoring our invitation. Once again, my name is Precious. I'm a visa officer here at Nexi. So thank you for coming in. Thank you. Just a little bit more. Welcome. I can see all of you that are joining in. Thank you so much for joining. Please keep it coming, just a little bit more. Then we move into our topic for today. So our topic today is sorry about that. Okay. So just a little bit more people to join, then I go into the topic for today proper. So what we're discussing today, we're going to be discussing, I'll be taking you through tips and things to note, as well as things to avoid while analyzing your bank statement for a visa application. And this will cover a couple of countries, at least the ones that we're familiar with in Nigeria, that a lot of people frequent and travel to, which is not restricted to, but includes the UK, Canada, France, as well as Ireland. These requirements are actually generic. It means that it covers most countries. The difference amongst these countries are just very little. Maybe the number of months you need to submit for your bank statement, or how much you need. But analyzing the bank statement, regardless of how much or how long the statement needs to be, is most of the times it's just about the same thing. So please keep it coming. Please keep it coming. I'm waiting for just a little bit more people. Thank you so much, Alima. Thank you. I am delighted. Thank you for joining in. I can see everybody. So thank you for joining in. Okay, so I think I'm ready to start now. So allow me to introduce myself again. So my name is Precious Etigwam. I'm a visa officer here at Nexi, and the topic for today is how to analyze your bank statement for a visa application. All you need to know and do to avoid a visa denial, as well as increase your chances of getting your visa. So my outline for today includes, and is not restricted to, because as the conversation goes on, I'm expecting to get questions as well as inquiries. So there's a chat box down here. If there's anything I've said that you need clarity on, or you don't understand, or you need further assistance, please do well to leave your questions down here. As much as I can take, I will take them. And in the event where I can't answer all of the questions, please, you can go on our social media pages. We have able hands, our numbers are there, our email addresses are there as well. You can drop in your inquiries. Our marketing team or our visa unit, as the case will be very available and happy to assist with all of your inquiries and questions. But please do well to leave your comments, leave your questions, and leave your inquiries down in the chat box, whichever one you would like, and I'll do well to attend to as many as I can. So part of the outline today will be features of a bank statement. So as we know, there are certain things that a bank statement should possess or have. As simple as this sounds, this would sometimes lead to as much as a ban. So we're also going to be touching on things to note while analyzing your bank statements, accompanying documents, as well as financial evidence and requirements for said countries as well as living expense. So I'll be getting right into it. I think I have a couple of people here already. So the first thing is I'm going to be giving an introduction. So as we know or we don't know, and your financial evidence as well as your bank statements covers more than 50% of the approval rate of your of your application. So what this means is that your financial statement or your bank statement, as some may know it as, a very vital document for your visa processing, as this will determine more than 50% if your visa is going to be approved or not. So if you put in a wrongly analyzed bank statement, or a bank statement that was not well explained or placed, and there's a very high possibility that is way above 50% that your visa will be denied. Okay, sorry. Okay, I'm really sorry about that. I hope I'm audible now. So I already have questions coming in. So let me just read this out. Can you do it without paying for account and getting there? Pay everything I'm owing or before visa comes out. Okay, this is an inquiry. So please, Mary Sessi. Sorry, I don't know if I pronounced that correctly. So please, you can go on our social media page and send a direct message, and there's a marketing officer there to respond to this your inquiry. Okay. So I have two people saying they can't hear me. I hope you can hear me now. I hope I'm audible now and I can be heard. So let me repeat myself again. So part of the outline of things I'll be touching in this discussion is features of a bank statement. I'll also be talking about things to note while analyzing your bank statement. I'm going to be talking about accompanying statement to explain the money or the transactions in your statement, as well as financial evidence for different countries, living expense as well. So part of the countries that this conversation is going to be covering is not excluded, but includes the UK, Canada, Ireland, France, and as many more as we can touch in this question in this live as well. I previously also said you can drop a question in our chat box, or if you're not comfortable putting your questions or inquiries in the chat box, you can quickly run to our social media page and ask a question. There's a marketing officer, there's a rep there that's going to attend to your question and direct you to the appropriate departments. So I already have a couple of questions coming in. There's a question here: can you use a microfinance bank instead of an actual bank for your statement? Just permit me to answer this question. It's part of what we're going to be discussing in this statement. Usually we're privileged to have had a couple of experience processing different type of visas for different people, quite a number over the couple of 11 years. So I can tell you, we usually not advise our clients to go for a microfinance bank. The reason is because most embassies would sometimes, this doesn't happen all the time, but would sometimes reach out to your bank or your account officer to verify that you actually have an account with them, or that the said money you've presented is actually in the account. And we've had numerous situations where, if this is done with a microfinance bank, they usually don't give a response. And once your bank doesn't respond, it leads to an automatic denial. So we usually advise to please go for a proper commercial bank that are well known, because most times the reason why they will reach out to microfinance bank is because it's not a renowned bank. It's not something that people usually use. It's not something that they see often. So they're probably skeptical that the statement that you've submitted is not real. So they are reaching out to actually confirm, to get affirmation that the bank you've submitted the statement from is actually real and verifiable. So when the officials in the bank don't respond, they automatically assume. So you can go ahead to use a microfinance bank. While you're doing that, please, you have to let them know that they should be on the lookout for their mails, just in case the embassy or the consulate reaches out to them for confirmation, because there's usually a time frame for this, so they can quickly confirm. But first of all, the first advice we give is to use a proper commercial bank that is well known and renowned. So as I was saying earlier, I said that the success of your application, of your visa application, depends more than 50% on your the bank statement you've presented. Okay, I have something written out here. So financial evidence covers more than 50% the success rate of any visa application, as it helps to demonstrate the applicant's financial stability and his or her ability to finance the said trip to his desired destination. Hence, the need to present a well-analyzed bank statement. What does this mean? The bank statement you are showing is what shows that you are economically buoyant enough economically buoyant enough to sponsor the said trips that you have proposed to go on, be it a visit visa, a tourist visa, be it a study visa. Sometimes I know for the UK, if, while even applying for a transit visa, sometimes it will require you to submit a bank statement. Transit visa, they require you to submit a bank statement. Not to talk more of all other very serious applications that needs to be submitted. Okay. Just allow me to give this scenario. Now, we encountered a scenario where a client got a ban, and what was the reason for the ban is that the bank statement that was printed rather was missing a letter of his name. So, for instance, his name is maybe my name is Precious. So my name is Precious, and my name usually start with P. So rather than starting with a P, it starts with an R. So why a bank statement is either computerly generated or printed out for you at the bank. So how is a letter of your name missing? So the embassy would usually automatically assume that statement was doctored. Okay, I think let me change the embassy usually automatically assume that either the statement was doctored or worked on, which eventually resulted into a ban. So part of the features of a bank statement is your bank statement needs to have the applicant's full name. So your name has to be written in full. If you're submitting a personal bank statement, has to be written in full, has to correlate with other documents that you are submitting. Say your passport data page, or a valid document to correlate that the bank statement actually belongs to you. It has to have your name written. If it's a business account, it has to have your business name written in full. The next thing is a proper bank statement needs to have an address. Doesn't necessarily have to be where you are currently staying, because some people must have opened a bank statement when maybe they were staying at a certain location and eventually moved somewhere else. But regardless, a bank statement needs to carry your home address. Next thing is a bank statement needs to carry transaction analysis. Just at the top of every statement printed out or generated is usually a financial analysis that carries the duration that the statement was printed from, say the 6 month duration, maybe from the 1st of June to from the 1st of January to the 1st of June. Also carries how much has come into the account within this said period, how much has left the account, and how much is remaining in the account. So it carries this financial analysis detailed. A good bank statement also has to have an opening balance as well. It needs to have a closing balance as well. It needs to also have balance history, as well as proper inflow and outflow, which will eventually lead to proper debits and credits. So these are the features of a bank statement, and I hope that I'm audible enough now. I've changed the location of my mic to be closer to my mouth as I speak. So please keep your questions coming in. And I'll take it as we go, or I'll take it just immediately we end the live. So just immediately before we end the live, or if you're also not comfortable putting in your questions on here, you can go on our social media page and Nexi Concept Limited, and send a message to our DMs. We have different reps, Swift reps, that will be able to answer your questions. Now we're going into the T of this live now, which is the things to note while analyzing your bank statement so as to avoid a denial. And I'm telling you for reals, if you don't, if any of these things are missing, there's a probability that the bank states your visa application will be rejected. Yes. So okay, sorry. I'm back now. So a little bit of network issue, so I'm back now. So Victor Lawal is saying, can you throw some light on island bank statement requirement, especially as regards bulk phones? So yes, I'm going to do that as we go on. So go on. So okay, yes. So Victor Lawal, I'm going to be taking your questions as we go. So amongst all other major things to note, one of the most and very important thing to note while analyzing your bank statements is having a good opening balance. Now, just let me give a disclaimer. The things I'm going to be saying here are not just restricted to this only. This is usually we'll have a discussion with every client. To everybody has a unique situation and a unique background, so we usually have a discussion with each of our clients. So if there's any need to add a little bit more to the list, we do that, and if there's no need, then we go with this. But every visa application is unique to the person applying, so you want to do well to analyze your case. You want to do well to analyze your situation in line with what I'm giving now, and to know which of these best suits your situation and best works for you. So the first thing I have on my list is having a good opening balance. Now, amongst the most important things amongst the things that are very important and things to note while reviewing your bank statement or preparing a bank statement for a visa application is having a good opening balance. Now, I don't have the opportunity to present a bank statement, but allow me to give an analysis. Now, you're required to travel to Canada, and the amount you need is you are required to submit a 4 to 6 months bank statement. I don't know. I'm actually very audible. I don't know. Okay, I think this is better. I don't know. Okay. Uh, okay. 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 Oh, okay. Okay. Okay, I think I should speak louder because I don't know. Okay, let me increase my voice. Okay. Okay. Thank you very much, Victor Lawal. Okay. So, sorry. So I think my voice is a bit louder now. So I'm going to shouting at the top of my voice now, so everybody can hear me. So sorry about that. Sorry, I didn't know my voice was. Okay. Thank you very much, Ebon. Thank you for that, Ebon. Okay. Thank you very much. Miss Dara said she can hear me. Okay, thank you very much. I'm going to increase my voice. So the first thing to note while analyzing your bank statement is your opening balance. Now, I was given an illustration earlier. Now you want to apply to study in Canada, for instance, and Canada will require you to submit a 4 to 6 month bank statement with a certain closing balance. This closing balance will usually include your tuition fee balance if the school requires that you pay a certain amount for tuition fee, or if the school doesn't, then your tuition fee plus your living expense. Living expense for Canada is 20,636. The official conversion website we use is a Wanda converter. So you want to quickly run on there to go and check how much is the current official rates for conversion from naira from card to naira if you're watching from Nigeria, and from card to Ghana cedis if you're watching from Ghana. So, but for your bank statement for Canada, for instance, you're required to submit a 4 to 6 month bank statement. We usually advise 6 months is better, but in the situation where you can't get a 6 month bank statement, 4 month also works. So, for instance, what you're required to have in that statement is you're required to have your tuition balance, your living expense, which is 20,636, and a little bit extra to cover for extra expenses, maybe like miscellaneous, accommodation, your flight and the likes, books and the likes. So let me say, for instance, this sums up to, say in conversion to naira, maybe 40 million naira. Now that's what you're supposed to have in the account. But don't forget, you are submitting a 6 month bank statement. And what a bank statement, as we stated earlier, what a bank statement helps you do is to establish and to show to the consulate or the person, the VO, which is the visa officer reviewing your application, that you are financially stable enough to afford the trip that you are set to go on for that said destination. That means just showing the amount needed in the bank statement is not enough. You need to also submit an account that has a precedence of good income, inflow, and outflow. So this will mean that when you're printing out your bank statement, yes, you already have a closing balance of 40 million naira. This doesn't mean that your opening balance. So we now have people printing out bank statements that has a good closing balance, but has an opening balance of 6,000 naira. That doesn't go well. It will when you look at that statement, it looks as though you just pumped the account up. You just pumped the account to 40 million, and you really did not have any money. So we usually advise our clients, let your opening balance either be the amount that you already need for your application. That means if you need 40 million, you can start your opening balance. They said 40 million, or just a little bit lower than that. But let your opening balance be a very good opening balance. So if you need an account, if you're supposed to submit an account that has a closing balance of 40 million, you can start that account with, say, maybe 10 million or so. But when that is not the case, please let your account balance not be below the millions. So this explanation is per person basis. So I'm just using Canada for instance. If Canada study, for instance, this is different if you're going on a visit visa. This is different if you're going for a visit visa or you're going for other countries. So hence why you need to look at your situation and know what works best for you. But having a low opening balance is not an option. So you need to have an opening balance. If you're going to study in any of these countries, Ireland, Canada, France, UK. UK is a little bit different. But any of this country, you need to make sure that your opening balance looks good enough and presentable, and this will be in relation to the amounts that you need. So you need 40 million. So please, it's advisable to have an opening balance that is into the millions. The amount varies per person, but nothing lesser. More is always better. So the next thing on my list is having a closing balance as well. And this one is particular for people going on a visit. Going on visit. It's also very important for people going to study as well. So there's a question here for me. I think I have two questions. So my Access Bank doesn't show my address, but it shows my bank address. What can I do? Should I leave it like that or go to the bank to complain? Please, I would advise your bank is supposed, your part of your transaction analysis should have your. So the reason why it's not showing your address, it might be that maybe you're generating it from your bank app. So try printing out from the bank directly and see if there's a difference, but it should have your address. So another question is, if I have been using the account for a year, can I do proof of funds for a month prior to the visa submission? Okay, this is part of the things I'm going to be touching in. So please, Dami Lola Victor 9, please stay tuned, don't leave. I'm going to touch on this question. I'm going to touch on it in details. And if after touching on it you still don't understand, please, you can still drop a question here, and I would do well to assist, or you can as well slip into our DMs and you'll be directed to me to speak with you directly. So there's a the next thing on here is closing balance. So I'm going to be doing this my live presentation with a lot of analysis based on what I've seen and what I've experienced. So somebody wants to travel to the UK for 2 weeks. They want to apply for a 6-month visa, and the person is asking, how much do I need to have? We're telling you, okay, for a 2-week trip you need to have at least a closing balance of around 3,500 to 4,000 pounds, which is in conversion today, that is around 4 to 5 million, or just a little bit less or more. And the person is like, oh yes, I have the amount of money. And the person brings their statement, and what they mean by half the amount of money is that amount of money has passed through the account for the space of 6 months. No, that's not what we mean. What we mean a closing balance is that your balance after printing should be closing with the said amount that you are needing, that you need rather. This is very important. Yes, I was just going to read. This is very important when you're going for UK. Now, for different cities that you'll be staying in the UK. For UK, if you're going to study in the UK, you need to submit a 28 days bank statement. Now, if you're studying in the UK and your school is outside of London, you need to present a living expense of £9,207. If you are in London, your living expense is £12,007. As I said earlier, the official converting site that we use in the travel industry is Owanda Converter. So always do well to go on there every now and then to check. And whatever amount, especially for the UK, this is very important. Especially for the whatever amount you come out with, because Nigeria as well as for Ghana, FX is fluctuating on a very alarming rate. So you can go on there and you see a pound to a naira is around 1.9, but you are going there the next day and it's already 2,000. So we usually advise that if you're running your proof of funds, or you're planning on traveling and you want to start the proof of funds, that whatever amount that the site is telling you, always do well to add 300 or as much as you can add to whatever amount you're going to be presenting, so that during the course of running your 28 days bank statement, peradventure, oh my god, I am very loud. Oh, I don't know how loud I can be. Oh, I'm practically shouting. Oh, okay, I will increase my voice again. I think, okay, I'll increase my voice again. I don't know why. I don't know if it's my mic or it's me. Okay, so I think, I don't know. I'm going to increase my voice again so you can hear. So I was talking about a UK 28 days bank statement. So as I was saying, so whatever amounts that you're going to be presenting, you should usually add an extra 300 or 400 to it. So in the case where during the course of your 28 to 31 days, the FX goes up, you are in the clear. The reason is that I was talking about opening and closing balance. For UK, your opening balance should start with the amount that is needed for your trip. Now, for UK applications, you need to present in your bank statement should be your living expense. If you're studying in London, £12,006. If you're studying outside London, £9,207 plus your balance tuition deposits. So let's say in conversion, as at today, when you went there, when you did the calculation, what you needed is maybe £34. What you need to present is £34, for instance. Then you now go and do conversion on Owanda, and you saw that Owanda is changing £1 to a naira for maybe 2,000 naira. So that is 2,000. That's the official rate of today. But don't forget that account has to be for 21 to 31 days. So that means we should do 2,000 times maybe £34,000. It will give you, let me say for instance 40 million. This is just an analogy. I don't know if this is the correct thing. This is just an analogy. We usually advise that rather than use 2,000 on the dot, add 300, because during the course of 28 days, pounds can increase from 2,000 to 2,300, and that will mean the proof of funds that you have been running for 28 days will no longer count, and that will mean you have to start again, because the amounts that you will now be needing to present will now be more. So start your opening class, and you can't add money in the mid running your 28 days bank statement. Your visa will be denied. So this means if you need 28 million naira, for instance, to sponsor yourself to study in the UK, your opening balance must start with 28 million and end with 28 million. It should not go less than 1 naira. It should also not go, it can go above, but it should never go less than the amount that is needed. So there's another question here. Is it possible to use an account from an online bank, such as Money Points, knowing fully well that there won't be an official bank stamp on it? So please tell me, please stay. Don't leave us. Don't leave us. Please stay. I'm going to address this question. It's part of what I'm going to be addressing. So what I was just talking about before I deviated to answer the question was closing balance. I was saying certain people will come and say this amount has passed through this has passed through my account during the course of these 6 months, but I don't have this in my closing balance. No, that's not what I mean. As I explained from the UK, the exact amount you're needed or that you need for your trip, either for a visit visa, for a transit visa, for a study visa, has to be in your account as at the time you're printing out your bank statements. So the next thing to note is credits or deposits in your accounts. This is very, very important. So I'm going to paint another analogy now. You want to go and study now. One of the part of the requirement to submit a visa application is that you need to either be employed, you need to be either be employed, or you're a business owner, or you have a sponsor. All of this explains source of income. So in as much as you're required to present a bank statement, that is not just all. You also need to submit accompanying documents to explain where you either have been employed for a couple of years and you've saved up over time, or you're a business owner running a business for a couple of years as well, or you're using a sponsor that also has either of these documents. So the deposits in your account or credits, as some may know it as, has to correspond or correlate with your story and your background. So you're submitting a bank statement and you've stated that you're employed. So when I go through the deposits or the credits in your account, I want to see constant inflow, or I want to see, depends on how you are paid, I want to see monthly payments from the said company that you have been said that you have claimed to be that you're claiming to be working at. So I work at Nexi and I want to travel to go and study in Canada, and I'm submitting my bank statement. It's compulsory that I submit my salary statement, especially if I'm self-sponsored, as that will show if I'm either financially stable or not. So when I as a reviewing officer reviewing your application, I want to go through your bank statement and actually see when Nexi has been paying you for either the last 6 months or the last 4 months. I want to see that. If that is not there, then no, that account cannot be used, or you have to give a proper explanation as to why you are saying you are employed and the bank statement you have presented doesn't represent your employment status. Or if you're a business owner, you want to explain by submitting a business document, CAC registration, as well as depends on the kind of business you're running. You're either running you've already registered your business as a business name or a limited partnership or liability, whichever one. You want to submit your business certificate, and as well as other associated documents like your memorandum of association showing you as highlighting you as a director, as well as you also want to submit your tax clearance if you have one. It's very important if you're applying for a UK application, especially UK visit visa. You want to make sure that your CAC is active on the visa application website. You want to do all of those. You also want to submit proof of business activities that actually explains that the money you're presenting was gotten from your business over time and you've saved up. And just to add, I think I missed to mention that at the beginning of, oh my god, I think I missed mentioning that at the beginning of the live, that when putting in an application, while it is important to put in a business account if you're a business owner, what actually sponsors your trip is your personal account. Now, the reason why I would advise sometimes to put in your business account helps to show that you actually have something going on for you, and what you have claimed is not a lie. But that is not what sponsors your trip, because the money in your business account is taken for business activities. So someone might have 100 million in his business account today, and the next 2 hours doesn't have anything because maybe he has used it to buy goods. But if the money is in your personal account, it's assumed that the money in your personal account is for your personal expenditures and your personal needs and the likes. So the deposits or the credits in your account should mirror your economic claims, or the story or the background that you're giving for the visa application as well. If there are other transactions that is outside either your salary or huge lump sums, okay, for instance, someone that is working and earning a million naira plus, and now has not presented an account statement that has a closing balance of 40 million. He has his constant inflow, but in that same account, he at some point got a deposit of 50 million naira. That is a credit, and a very huge credit as well. So somebody asked about lump sums. So the source of every lump sum that was deposited into an account has to be properly explained and backed up with evidence. So a lump sum can either be from a land sale, from a sale of property in general. It doesn't have to be, could be landed property, could be cars, could be like that and like that, or liquidation of investments. Okay, there's a question here for Canada study. Can I show just my 1 year? Okay, I'm also going to touch on that. Just so, Miss Vera, please don't leave us. Stay here. We're going to get there. I don't want to skip. I'm running by the time, so I don't want to exceed my time, and as well, I don't want to skip important things. So I'm also going to talk about this just before the life comes to an end. As I was saying, every deposit in your bank statement has to come with a proper explanation, has to be in line with the story that you are going to be telling. So the story could either be you are employed or a business owner, has to also come with a proper explanation. So if you are employed and there any other huge amount of money that has come in that is not your salary or a bonus from work, you want to explain it. So it's either maybe you're explaining. It depends on your conversation with your visa officer or the person handling your application, or your own discretion. So the proof of the huge sum of money that will be deposited in your account, or that can be deposited in your account, can be explained as liquidation of property, sale of property rather, liquidation of assets. It can also be a gift from a family member backed up with a deed of gift certificate. So another thing that you need to note while looking at your bank statement, while analyzing your bank statement rather, is that the debits there. In as much as credits are very important, as that is what makes up the amount that you need to travel, the debit also is as important as the credits. So for instance, I saw a bank statement yesterday that opened with a closing balance of 18 million, but down the 2 months into the bank statement, the money came down to 4 million because 10 million naira was debited out of the account without an explanation. So the account it still has a good balance history. The balance never came down to 1 million, but why was there this sudden debit from the account? That needs to be explained. So every debit that is beyond the usual amount of money that usually leaves your account should be explained. So some people will give that explanation as the reason why the money was debited was I debited it to pay my tuition fee, to for a house project. So one of the things that we usually advise our clients when preparing for their visa application, preparing a bank statement for their visa application, is that every debit and every credit transaction in your account should come with a proper description, so that once you explain it in your letter of motivation, introduction letter or support letter, it is easy and it's traceable. So you want to debit a set amount of money, you can put a payment for tuition fee, payment for house rent, payment for upkeep, or you want to pay in an amount of money that is not your salary, or that is away from the usual money that comes into your account. You want to properly put in a description. So you want to say this is a payment for sale of land, payment for liquidation of an investment. Oh, this is a deed of gift from my mother. you want to name it. So once you highlight it in your motivational letter, statement of intent, and statement of purpose, it's easy and it's traceable. So the next thing I said, which I've also mentioned, is balance history. So I've mentioned opening balance. Having a good opening and starting balance in your bank statement is as important as having a closing balance that carries the amount of money that you need. Your debits and your credit also has to mirror your situation as well as your story, and every credit transaction and debit transaction has to be properly explained with descriptions and narration, and has to be backed up with evidence. Another thing that is as important as everything I've mentioned here is your balance history. Now, balance history is looked at on a month by month basis. So for the first month, now what do I mean by balance history? Now, some people at the beginning of a said month would have a balance of maybe 1 million naira. But before that month runs out, the money might go down to as maybe 6 naira, and it might continue like that. It's fluctuating for like 5 months. It's fluctuating. Then they come to maybe the fifth month, and they bombard the account with the said amount that is not accepted in any form, in any way, in any word, in any country. It shows an inconsistent economic stability. It shows an inconsistent financial stability. It just shows that you are not financially stable, sort of. But that can fly if you can give an explanation for that. So sometimes people would say the reason why money comes in and immediately leaves, and it's as though there's no money in the account, is because of the volatile nature of our currency currently. So rather than leave the money in their bank account for it to depreciate to the extent that it doesn't have value as much, they will take it out, then invest it. Then you have to show proof, either from your bank statement of document, of this money constantly leaving your account and you investing it either in buying properties or buying maybe some shares or some stock and investing it somewhere so that the money is kept. Some people will say they invested it in buying foreign exchange, maybe dollars, maybe pounds, the likes. When this is not the case, you have not, the money has, your balance history has not dropped to that extent because you're investing in something or you're buying something that you eventually liquidate. Then we can't use that statement. Then you have to run a bank statement. You have to maintain a consistent balance. So if you are traveling and what you need is maybe 40 million naira, you have to make sure that your balance each month doesn't go beyond a million. Now, this beyond a million is different for different people. Beyond a million can be 1 million, can be 2 million, can be 10 million, can be 30 million. It depends on your conversation that you've had with the visa officer working on your application, or as the case may apply to you. Another thing that I've mentioned before is huge lump sums. So now, please, paying in money, so just having money in your account is not acceptable. You have to, as I said earlier, whatever money that you are going to be putting in your account has to be explained and backed up with documents. There's no way out of this. It has to. You are either employed, you are either a business owner, or you are using a sponsor, and you need to submit documentation to explain this. So just putting in money into your account and saying, oh, what you have said I need, this will only fly for the UK. The UK for study applications are not as strict as the Canada or Ireland or other countries. UK, the amount you need just has to be in your account for 28 days, and the account has to be as active as can be. You don't need to really explain how you came about the account, how you came about the money, or how the money came. They just want to see that the money is there. For people going for an undergraduate program, probably using their parents as sponsor and submitting their sponsor's accounts, they just want to see proof of relationship, which will usually be maybe a birth certificate, and sometimes what the person is doing, which is either an employment letter or a CAC certificate. But when this is not the case, probably you're going for a master's, the money just has to be in your account enough for 28 to 31 days. You don't necessarily have to present how you came about the money. All you need to show is to explain study gap. That is if you have study gap. But for other countries like Canada and Ireland, as well as France is also not as strict as other countries, but it's still there. But you're talking about Ireland, Australia, Canada, and the likes. You need to explain in details with evidence how you came about such money. So if you are depositing a huge amount of money, is it that a gift from a family? So you need to attach a deed of gift. Is it that you sold a property and it was there? So you have to with as part of the documentation you'll be submitting for your visa application. You need to also attach a proof of ownership transfer from you to the person, or maybe you liquidated an asset or an investment. You need to show proof. For instance, uh, one of the liquidation I can think of off my head is having a fixed deposit account, right? So a fixed deposit account will usually run for a certain duration of time. We usually have a set start date and a maturity date. So you can upload that, and once the asset has been liquidated, they will also the bank or whichever organization you are using will usually issue a liquidation certificate. So you have to upload that. But just putting money in your account without an explanation for the money or document to explain how you came about this money is not acceptable at all. It's not acceptable and will usually lead to a denial. A denial is 100% sure. You can't escape it. So you have to explain. Is it that your sponsor puts in the money there, you sold the property, you liquidated an asset, or that you are working a very serious job that is paying you so much money, and so the likes. So these are the major things to note when preparing for when analyzing your bank statements. Allow me to reiterate again: your opening balance, you need to have a good opening balance. Don't have a low opening balance. Your opening balance reflects from the beginning of printing the bank statement how much you need for the application, and it should not be below the millions. Your closing balance should have exactly the amount or more for what you need. Credit and deposits should mirror the applicant's story, the applicant's financial background, and all the evidences that you'll be presenting has to be in line with the transactions in the accounts. Any unusual debits should be properly explained. That's the reason why we have a financial letter for Canada. We attach a financial letter for Ireland. We attach a financial letter to explain all finances coming and going. For Canada, we do that in the finances section, in the statement of purpose and the finances section. In your statement of purpose, you explain that. Then your balance history should be consistent all through the months. You should not take out beyond a certain amount of money. For Canada, in fact, for now, we usually advise our students, you know what, from the beginning of that you want to start prepping for your application. So you want to do that as far back as 6 months before or 4 months before. So if you need 40 million, let your statement open with maybe 10 million naira or just a little bit more. But let your statement don't let your statement not be let the opening balance not be maybe 100,000 or 50,000, or some people will present 6 naira. That doesn't work. To be denied, and there's no way about it. And usually for visa application, we usually advise, let's limit the amount of documentation and explanations should be very limited, because once you're starting to explain and explain and explain and explain and explain too much, it becomes really complicated. And these consulars reviewing the application, I don't think they have all the time in the world to be going through all the document that you've presented in details. So once a document that you're presenting is not straightforward enough, they sideline it and just give a verdict as they want. So there's a question here: for Canada study application, can I show just my 1 year school fee and cost of living of proof of funds? Yes, you can. If you're going for a master's program, most masters usually run for 1 year and some for 18 months. And most master's program will also require you to pay an initial tuition deposit. So what you're supposed to have in your proof of funds is your tuition fee balance and data if you are self-sponsored. Self-sponsorship is not our number one way of financing a Canadian trip, but in the case where that is your only option. For instance, if what you need, if when you did your calculation, your initial tuition fee balance as well as your living expenses amounting to maybe 30 million, is advisable to have a little bit extra, maybe 50% more, at least 25% more. So you can add a little bit of 10, you can add a little bit to that money rather. You can so maybe all you need on the dot is 30 million. You can make it maybe 40 million, keeps you in the clear and the like. So I think I had a question up. Okay, this is saying, is it possible to use an account from an online bank such as Moneypoint, knowing fully well that there won't be any official bank stamps on it? Now, so one of the things I was going to mention is that you have to make sure that when printing out your bank statement, there are no visible restrictions on the bank statement. Now, there's something that they do in Nigeria where they do is that you can't withdraw up to a certain amount. And if you're not familiar with this financial institution, the lien is very visible to people that know what it looks like. So if you're printing from an online app, it's most likely that the lien is there. So you go to the bank to have it printed out. And as for Money Point is I think it's also a microfinance bank, and I won't advise you to use a Money Point account. Please save yourself all the stress and use a commercial known bank. I think there are a couple of banks that you can use. There are a lot of them. There's Globus Bank, there's First Bank, there's Zenith Bank, there's UBA. Please use banks that won't stress you because points it's ideal that your bank statement should have a stamp and a signature. Some countries are not very strict on this fact. Ireland, for one, is very strict, so you should have a stamp on your bank statement as well as a signature, whichever one the bank is willing to provide. Some other countries are not really strict with it, as long as they can reach out to the bank and confirm. For Australia, it's very strict, you have it. So please, Tammy, I would advise you to look into using other banks for your visa application. I'm not a fan of uh, microfinance institution rather. So I will advise you that you use other commercial banks and well-known banks that will give you an official stamp if you're looking at putting in a visa application. Okay, I think I've talked about UK proof of funds. Okay, another question: I'm using an account for 1 year. Can I do proof? Okay, if you're using an account for 1 year, can you do proof of funds for a month prior to visa submission? So it depends on the country you are submitting for. If you are going to Canada, if you are going to UK to study, you need a 28 to 31 days bank statement. So this applies. If you are going to Canada, this cannot work because, as I've explained, you need to have a good balance history that mirrors the initial that would grow or mirror the amount that you eventually be needing for your application, that mirrors your story and your background. It also shows that you are financially stable enough to sponsor your trip. So putting the amount that you need for your application 1 month prior to the application, except you have a very cogent reason why that is happening. Maybe you took out the money at some point and invested in somewhere so that the value doesn't drop, or you bought something and you sold it. Except that is the case and you can explain, then you can do that. And even while doing that, you have to also make sure that you've maintained a good balance history. And if this is also not the case, you have to put in a good explanation. And to tell you, once you start doing too many explanations, it makes the application too ambiguous. It makes the application so much. So it's better to save yourself all this explanation and just do the right thing and start building your statement when needed. I think I had a question um, a while ago. Okay, can you throw some light on island bank statement requirements, especially as regard bulk phones? So as I've explained earlier, bulk phones for every country runs the same. So every bulk phone that comes into your account has to be properly explained with evidence, and all these evidences has to be verifiable. And for island, they are very strict. They are very, very strict. Every single amount of bulk funds that is above the usual amount that usually comes into the account has to be properly explained one by one, and you have to attach explanation and evidence for that. Without that, I'm telling you for sure, except maybe something else happens. But okay, I think I've answered most of the questions here. Okay, there's a question here to talk about Malta POF. So I'm just I'm running on the clock now, so I don't think I might be able to go into this in details. So please, you can send us a direct DM. You'll be redirected to me, and so we can have a discussion. So just to round up what I've said, all that documentation which I've also mentioned in during the course of this discussion that you can add to explain your lump sums, your proof of funds, the money in your bank statement can either be, and it's not restricted to these things I'm mentioning, a business certificate, a business registration certificate to show that you've been running a business for a number of years, your employment letter to show that you're properly employed and you earn a certain amount, and you've been working for quite a long time, and you've saved up money and you're able to afford your trip. So sponsorship letter, you're using a sponsor and your sponsor is providing you the money that you need. Deed of gifts, you've been a certain family member, a friend, your husband, a spouse has gifted you the amounts that you need for your trip, so you have to do a deed of gifts. Pay slips for sponsors that don't want to submit their bank statement but has rather transferred the money to you. It's required that they submit a pay slip so the consular is able to quantify how much they make and if they're actually capable of sponsoring your trip. Then sale of property to explain that how you part of the ways that you got the money is that you sold the property and you were able to come up with the amount you need, and liquidation of investment as well, as I've mentioned earlier. So in addition to what I've said, so financial requirements for different countries, how many month bank statement they would need. For the UK, for study visas, you need a 28 to 31 days bank statement that carries exactly the amount you need in there, nothing less, for 28 to 31 days. For visit visa, you need a 6 month bank statement. For Canada, both study and for visit visa, you need a 4 to 6 month bank statement. For France, both study and visit, you need a 3 month bank statement. For Ireland, you need a 6 month bank statement. So I have a question. For Canada application, can the money set aside for proof of funds, could it be withdrawn after the application is submitted? We would not usually advise you to take out the money, because sometimes I think we've encountered a couple of times that the consulate would reach out to the bank to request for your bank statement again. Sometimes it's when they notice, maybe they've noticed something shady, or I can't expressly say what usually prompts their request, but we usually not advise you to take out the money. However, if you want to do that, it's at your discretion, but we usually not advise you to take out the money from the bank account. Then for living expense, I have another question. How can I explain that I didn't earn the money while working for my family business, because that was the condition my family gave me in order to sponsor? How can I explain I didn't earn money? Okay, I didn't earn money while working for my family. because that was the condition my family gave me in order to sponsor my job. So your uh, so this question has so many answers. So is multifaceted. So I can give so many response to it. So it depends. Is your family sponsoring you? How old are you? Is there a document how old are you? Is there a written, do you have a written, something written saying that you are just working for them for free and they won't be paying you because they are going to be sponsoring your education? So Victor Lawal, please, you can send us a message and we'll have a discussion and we'll know how to go about and the best advice to give you on this particular question. So just coming to the end of the live. So I just living expense for different countries, how much you need to have outside your tuition balance that's required. Living expense for France, you need to show a living expense of 7,600 to 9,000. Yes, you can apply. You can apply for a master's program for Malta through Nexi Concept. So once again, please, you can send us a direct DM and we have people there waiting to take your inquiries and your questions. Please, you can do that now, right now. We're waiting for you, please. So for France, you need to present a living expense of 7,600 to 9,000 euros. For Ireland, 10,000 euros. For Canada, 20,636. For the United Kingdom, if you're studying outside the UK, £9,207. If your course is done in London, then £12,600. So we have come to the end of this live. So please don't forget again, my name is Precious Etigwam. I'm a visa officer here at Nexi. If there's anything I've not touched or not properly elaborated on, please, you can go on our DMs, go on our website, and send us a direct message. You can give us a call as well, and we will take all your inquiries, answer all your questions, and provide you the best solution that you require. We are here. We're here for you. We're open for you 247 to give you the best experience and to help you actualize your dream of studying abroad, visiting, or relocating. So thank you very much once again for everybody that joined, asked questions, and made inquiries. Thank you very much for honoring this invitation. And until next time, so to have a nice day.